A couple months ago, I received a text message from an unknown number. Now, usually I don't respond to unknown numbers, but this was different. The text read, "Hey, Miss Edwards, it's Sade." I immediately respond back, "Where are you? How are you? Are you still in school?" And then I flash back to a moment about 2 years ago when I was working as director of operations of a charter school in Newark, New Jersey. Sade was one of my students, and we had formed a very special bond. But on this particular day, Sade had been kicked out of school for cursing out the school principal. Now, I had a feeling there was more to the story, so I took it upon myself to leave the school building and go find her and find out what really happened. So I walk out the building, and as soon as I step outside, I see Sade sitting on the steps of a church next to the school, and she's crying. So I walk over to Sade, and I sit down next to her. I ask her, "What's going on?" I soon find out that Sade wasn't particularly angry with the school principal that day. She just really, really missed her dad. You see, the year before, Sade's father had passed away, but her family was too poor to afford a tombstone, so her father was cremated against both his and his family's wishes. Sade was upset that day because on that day, she just wanted a physical place to remember her father, and she had nothing. So she was upset. So at this point, I look at Sade and I tell her, "Sade, give me your phone. I'm going to call your mom. We'll make sure you get home safe, and don't worry about the principal. I'll just make sure you get back to your family right now." And then Sade looks up at me and she goes, "He took my phone." I said, "Who took your phone, Sade?" And she said, "The man." I'm like, "Okay, but what man, Sade?" She said, "The man with the gun. Right before you came, he put the gun in my face and he took my phone." At this point, I just have to stop. I look around me. It's broad daylight. It's lunchtime, just like it is right now. I hear laughter in the distance, an argument down the street. And here we are, sitting on the steps of a church, and a young girl mourning her father had just been robbed at gunpoint for her cell phone. And in that moment, I realized there's no education reform, there's no large-scale theory of change or impact model, there's no design thinking whiteboards or Post-it notes, no case study that would have ever prepared me for how to react in that moment. So instead, Sade leaned on my shoulder and cried, and I tried not to cry. The next time I turned and looked at Sade, I felt like I saw the world in her eyes. The world she was living in seemed so dark, so unfair, so scary. But the world that I saw living in her was one dominated by her godlike personal strength. And it was then that I realized a greater truth about life. We all may live in this world, yet we choose how we let the world live in us. If we fast forward to today, Sade's mother is a drug addict. And to this day, I have no idea where in the world Sade is. Anyone looking at her records would see her poor grades, her poor behavior, her lack of attendance rate, or even her dropout rate at this point. But what the records don't show is that I had seen something divine in that child. Today, I am not speaking to you as the future business leaders and entrepreneurs and policymakers, which I know you all will become one day. Instead, I'm coming to you humbly under the most basic common denominator that connects me, you, Mark Zuckerberg, Beyonce, and even Sade, our humanity. You see, at the GSB, we talk about changing the world as if the world is some vague, distant thing that we will magically re-enter after we graduate. But the truth about the world is this: we are it. The world is now. The world is here. It is so easy to get caught up in school, work, politics, and the very visible differences that divide and separate everyone sitting in this room today. But if we want to change the world, we have to be willing to look beyond what's visible to the eye and other people. Now, you may call this seeing God or the divine in someone. You may call this acknowledging someone's humanity. Whatever we call it, we have to choose to see something greater in ourselves and other people. Because in the absence of something greater, we miss out on the bigger picture about life. That life is not about us. Life is about the value we create and the legacy we'll leave behind. And if we don't see anything greater in ourselves or the people around us, our legacy will end as soon as our lives end. But if we take the time to see and believe in something beyond ourselves and align our work with a higher cause or a higher purpose, not only will our lives be much richer, but the work we do will live forever. So how do we begin seeing more in other people and in ourselves? Well, the answer is we're going to have to rediscover our sense of wonder and awe in the world. Albert Einstein once said, "He who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. His eyes are closed." As a child, it's very natural for us to wonder and stand in awe of the world. But as adults, we tend to assume that we know everything that the world's about. Wonder is defined as a heightened state of consciousness brought upon by something so beautiful, something so rare, so unexpected, something that is a marvel. It was a wonder for me to see the strength in Sade as she mourned the passing of her father. Today, it is a wonder that I'm even able to talk in front of you all. And for some of us in the room, it was a marvel to even get out of bed this morning. Wonder has been shown to be one of the most important emotional foundations underlying optimum mental health. And not only is it linked to improved health, but the capacity for experiencing wonder and awe has been linked to improve our abilities to build stronger, more cohesive teams and communities. So my challenge to you today, go home and write down one wonder you saw in someone else today. One wonder that enriched your understanding of your world. I promise if you do this, you'll experience the world in a much deeper and richer way than you ever have before. I have realized that I may never hear back from Sade again. I may never have the answers to the questions that I texted her. But what I do know is that my life is so much richer because I took the time to see the world in her. What will people say when they look at you? Thank you.